Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pleasurable Success. I have such a juicy podcast guest for you today. Her name is Aleesha Simone, and she is a powerhouse. She is a seductress. She is a pleasure queen, and she is an incredible entrepreneur. And I'm so excited to have her here and have this incredible conversation with her today. So hi there. Hi, Aleesha. How are you?
Hi, babe. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for whatever we end up diving into today.
I'm so excited. I know I told you this when you first hopped on, but as soon as I saw your page, which was very recent, it was just like this full body, fuck yes, I need to have a conversation with her and I need to spread her magic and her medicine with my people because I know they're just going to be drooling over you. So thank you for hopping on with me. I would love to know a little bit about the work that you do and how you got into being the woman that you are today.
Well, I feel like I've been on this journey for my entire life. Like my whole life has just kind of been leading me to each given point that I find myself at in business and just in life in general. I'm sure you can relate to that too. But I feel like I really stepped into my power as a divine feminine probably in 2020. And that's when I started this specific business. I only started coaching at the very end of 2020. Before that, I was started a restaurant with my ex-partner, and I was like doing this whole different venture, like very, very different.
Wow.
And I was just exhausted and all the things. I'm not going to get into that life story. But I've always been someone who I know that I'm a leader in some given right. Like I have something to gift and serve to people, and I've this power to awaken people to their power. Like it's a reflection and a mirror that I have held up in every relationship that I have. So I just knew that there was something more for me. I knew that I wanted to work either one-on-one with people or in like a bigger setting. And I was just always really good at social media as well. So I just jived with it. I grew up with the internet, so as soon as I left the restaurant venture and realized that I'm too exhausted to be doing this, I literally just started writing online, putting my writing out there because I'm also a writer. I do a lot of different things. I wear a lot of different hats. But writing is something that is it is just like one of my biggest passions, and it's something that just fuels me. So I started there. I started just writing, and it slowly just progressed into the coaching space, which I don't even like to call myself a coach anymore, but like that's the whole space. And then just sharing, I don't know, visions, my creativity, my expression, helping other women like awaken to theirs. And where I'm at now in my business is doing all of those things compiled into one, and like a huge mind map of that outward, doing lots of different things. So I guess that's a weird rambly way of saying what I kind of do now.
I love it. I love it so much. And I love that you use the word like your expression and sharing it, like gifting it to the world, really. And I've only witnessed you for the past couple of weeks, and it's just been so powerful to see a woman so in her authentic fucking expression and not giving a damn, like really not giving a damn what people are thinking, what people are saying, and accepting nothing less than complete, like an utter fuck yes. So I just wanted to praise you for a moment because it's big work and it's intimidating. And I'm curious, has your authentic expression and you just being the expression of who you were meant to be in this world, has it come easy for you to just be yourself and not care what people think? Or has that been this like unraveling journey?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I really have, I don't know, I could give you like the boring answer, which is which is yes, I've kind of like always been like this. But then the other answer is more of course, it's just always a journey of unraveling. Like we're always all on this journey of coming into our fullness and who we are. But I guess from my personal story and my personal experience, I am an only child. I grew up in like what felt like an unconventional household in some way, but I've even been having this conversation with my mum the last few weeks, and she said like, as soon as conceived you, I knew that you were different. And then like she said, as soon as she gave birth to me, she was like, I knew even more than I knew. And she said these words to me. She was like, I knew that you were meant to be here. Because she had me at 42. She had me really late. Like she was not planning to even ever have a child. And it was like the world just made it happen, and I was like, I gotta be here, bitch. Like I need to be here. I've got things to do. And I feel that way. I felt that way my whole life. But when you said intimidating, that really rings true for me, because I'm sure you can relate to this, and a lot of your listeners, I'm sure as well. Just being a powerful woman is really intimidating to the world. So me almost always being very much like this, but at different ages and maturity levels of throughout my life, of course, and different versions of me in the past, you know, I've always stood in my own power and known who I am fully at that time. I've always been very self-aware, even when I was a child, like 4 or 5 years old. And no one liked that. No one liked that I didn't follow the grain. No one liked that I wasn't a people pleaser. No one liked that I spoke my mind. And of course, that's now what we're encouraging women to fucking do and be like. So of course I'm in this work because hello, it makes sense. But yeah, my whole life I've been this like, I don't want to say trailblazer because that's really cliche, but like I do feel like I've been pushing the boundaries my whole life. In every space that I'm in, I'm trying to like rip apart whatever is conventional about it and make it more authentic. The word that you used in the beginning, like authentic of who I am, which then really encourages other people to bring the same energy. Like I want all of you. I want your authentic truth, your heart, your soul. I want who you are when no one is looking. Like I want that seeping through you when I meet people. So of course that's what I'm going to give to the world. And I think that's just what we all need to be more like, you know, that it's something that has just been, especially for women, it's been so stripped from us. When I have these conversations with my mom and how her mother was raised, and it's just insane that we're now in this time where women do have the freedom that we have. So let's fucking run with it and take up all the space that is available to us, and then push those walls even further for everyone around us, because we deserve that. And every individual person deserves that. And that's what I feel really passionate about the most with my work, is that yes, my expression, my fire, and my creativity it's me, and it's about me. So in some way it's selfish, because it's like, I love this, and this, I love myself, and I love what I express, but it's just always a reflection for everybody. It's just everything I do is a mirror for you. Everything we all do is a mirror for everybody. And that is the magic in expression and embodiment and creativity, is like, it's just a mirror. Everything, like you can look at anything and take something for yourself and then give back. It's this constant flow. So long-winded way to answer your question, but I feel very resonant with being this type of human being, like just someone who has always pushed the boundaries and never given a fuck. And now I'm at this place where I want to help others come into that, because I've realized through this work and through my life experience that other people don't think like this. Other people don't feel like this, especially women. Women are very shut down and very shy and very repressed. And I don't know how I seem to like weave and like dodge all of the conditioning, but like I was doing that my whole life. I was just like, nope. Like, I don't know how if we want to use the term like starseed, which I don't know if you resonate with or some of your listeners might, but like, I don't really, that's not a word that I use, but like that thought process is what I relate to, because those type of people that just think different are the ones who are meant to lead spaces like this and help others awaken to their truth. So I'm just here with you, women like you, who are just shouting it from the rooftops and hoping that people listen. And if they don't, then we just keep doing our thing, because it's what we love to do.
Yes, it's what we love to do. That's for sure. I love that. It's like you're evoking it out of other people by showing them what's possible within you. And I love that you use the term a mirror, even if your expression is different from another person's. It's not like parroting, it's not copying. It's like, this is what's possible. Like, this is my expression and I'm evoking yours out of you. I love that. I love that so much. And something else that you touched on that I would love to dive a little bit deeper into was this concept of like, not, I guess, like owning your truth and rebelling against dismantling all of societal's expectations of especially women. Because this is my work. Like I, gave the middle finger to corporate after thinking that was the right way to do life, and realizing like, oh, this is not just one way. There's so many different ways, and I'm getting called to a new path. And so I'm curious for the woman, because this has come more I guess pleasure filled and easy for you, right? Because that's your natural state. But for the women who are, maybe it doesn't come as easy. Maybe they're like, this is absolutely fucking terrifying, and I've always been the good girl. What would you say to that woman who just wants to break free and give the middle finger to all the rules and all the this is the right way to do life, this is the path? What would you say to that woman?
Well, I would start by saying some cliche things like, people are going to judge you anyway. The whole world is always going to judge and perceive you from their level of consciousness, no matter what you do. If you are the perfect woman, if you're the perfect housewife and mother and sister and daughter, and you do everything right by everyone, someone is still going to have something bad or negative or judgmental or critical to say about you, especially because we're women. Women get criticized for everything, no matter what. Even if we are fronting as perfect, we just can't fully escape that at this given time in society, because I think that's why we're so called to now break that narrative down, and actually show that we're all here to have a different expression. We're all here to be human individual beings. We're not just meant to fit this mold that society has wanted us to fit. And I know that is, again, it's this, like, it's so hard to go so deep when we've got like an hour podcast, but it's, I think that women who feel a bit too scared to speak up or change a job or leave a relationship or like tell their parents how they really feel or set a boundary with someone, I think those women need to get really comfortable with the uncomfortable feeling that they might place on other people by choosing themselves. And I have just, maybe because I am an only child and other circumstances in my life, trauma, really young, things like that, I had to grow up really young and I guess choose myself. And I continuously decided to choose myself every day. So that's why this work comes easy to me. Whereas other women who have this conditioning of continuously choosing their siblings or their friends or family members over themselves feel more of a constraint. But I feel like you've got to get comfortable with that fear, the uncomfortable feeling that you place on other people, just by being you, and knowing that by being your fullest expressive self, you are going to make other people uncomfortable. You are going to trigger something in other people, no matter what you do. But that's just something that comes with taking up that space. That is just something that comes with that role. And I don't even like to say the word role, but it's like if we take up a space in a room and people have never seen that type of woman express in that type of way, they're going to be asking questions, they're going to be confused, they're not going to understand. It's something completely new. This is new paradigm work, and I use the language new paradigm a lot because it resonates with everything that I do. New paradigm is just what we are, a part of our soul is so called to step into. Every woman has that somewhere within them, whether they want to listen to it or not. And I believe that if I could scream something from the rooftop, it would be, women, like, listen to that feeling within you that is telling you, I want to be more of myself, or I want to express more of myself, or I deserve to take up a bit more space, or I don't want to be this closed off version of myself anymore. We all have that somewhere within us. And I think a practical, simple way for women to step further into that, even if they are terrified. Sorry if you can hear all the birds in the background, by the way. It's like really, really loud Australian magpies here all the time. Like, they're right outside. They're crazy. They're like gangs. They actually are gangs. Magpies,
that's like the turkeys out here.
Yeah, magpies live in the same kind of area their entire life. So this is like a gang. But anyway,
the family birds, the family gang of birds.
Yeah, they're just like my homies.
I love it.
But yeah, a practical tip that I would offer women is really follow the callings in a way of continuously go to and choose the spaces that make you feel more of yourself. And I know that that's something simple that we can all say, and we've probably all, everyone listening has seen that on Instagram before, choose the people that make you feel more of yourself and do the things that make you feel more of yourself. It's like, but really, really do that. Like, and you might have to push a little bit or feel a little uncomfortable to take that first step into something like that. It might be a yoga class for one person. It might be a pole class for another person. It might be going for walks out on your own. It might be going to cafes and having a latte by yourself while you journal. It might be expressing yourself through your fashion sense or your identity a little bit more each day. It might be wearing a colored lipstick one day. Like, use all the forms of expression that we have available to us. And the more that you tap into yourself in that frequency, like, you're going to slowly take that frequency home with you. You're going to slowly feel that imprint and that paradigm, that type of mold, that type of energy coming home with you. It's going to be on you. It's going to be within you. It's going to be activated within you. So the more that you do that, the more you're going to be like, oh yeah, I like this version of myself a lot. And she's powerful, and she's also like soft, but she's like rough, but she's wild. Like, you'll start to discover more of yourself. And the more that you discover more of yourself and learn who you really are and like who you truly want to be on this earth while you're here, and you just discover that, and she just gets bigger and louder, you're not going to want to dismiss her anymore. You're going to be like, oh shit, I see your power. You're going to see yourself, and you're going to see how fucking powerful you really are, and that you deserve to take up space. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to walk in the room like, you know, God sent you there. You know, this.
Okay. Can I please? I have chills all over my body right now. Can I please just show you? I have to show you this. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It says me walking into the room like God sent me. Do you see
Yes.
that?
Yes. I love that.
I wrote that today.
Oh, wow. I love it.
Fucking chills. Did you see my face drop when you said that?
Like...
I love it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a purposeful statement, and we can just like any other embodiment practice out there, and I know that you know this as well, like we can all read things on such a surface level. We can read that and go, oh yeah, hee, like love, double tap, whatever. But can you really read that and let that sink into your cells and your soul and just hit a part of you that makes you go, oh yes, now I have chills.
Yeah.
Like walk into the room like you were sent there. And when we say room, we don't just mean a room or an event space. We mean every time you post, every time you write a story, every time you speak to a friend, every time you set a boundary with someone. And this is, again, another way that women are so repressed and shut down in society, is because when we do this, we are called bitches, and we're called too masculine, or we're called crazy, or we're called witches, or we're called narcissistic and ego-centered, all these things. I mean, I've been called all that my whole life because of my energy and the way that I carry myself. Yet now it's funny that I'm one of the leaders and people want my help. Try and wrap your head around that unfortunately we have to be seen as bad or witches or crazy or whatever it is. Like take all the labels and run with it, because when you start to walk into rooms like you were sent there, you're going to understand that you are deserving, and you're going to meet other people that are on the same frequency as you, that really love themselves deeply as well, and are on the path to loving themselves even more. So that was a long run way of whatever question you asked.
I fucking love it. I honestly don't even remember what I asked, and I still loved it. You guys, please just like feel into that statement. Like she said, like it's one thing to read it, it's another to feel it, and it's another thing to move with it, right? Like walk into the room like God sent you. That statement is such a reclamation of your power, of your worth, of your being, like everything that you are. And something that I was noticing as you were talking about, like as you start to like do more of the things that make you feel more like you, like the things that turn you on, you said, oh, she's soft, but she's also tough, and she's, you know, wild, and yet she's like the nice girl. Like it's like you start to realize that there's no fucking limits to who you have to be. And I'm curious if you have ever felt this way. I know for me, like growing up, I always thought that I had to be like, oh, well, there's like the tough girls who like get into fights, and then there's like the really smart girls who play soccer, and like I was like, who the fuck am I? Which category do I fit in here? Because I don't feel like I fit in any of them. And I always felt that meant I was mediocre. I was like, oh, like I'm just mediocre because I don't know who I am. When in reality, I just wasn't meant to be in a fucking box, right? So I'm just curious, in your journey, have you ever felt like I need to be in this category, or right from the start, you're like, no, I'm just not about that life in general?
Again, boring answer could be, yeah, I really just was like, no to all of this. But I definitely can relate. Like in high school and primary school, when we're really just figuring out that we are human beings, and we're like, what the hell is all of this? And we can see other people, especially in high school. I think that's when you come more online, you can see other people your age doing different things. I just felt like I didn't resonate or relate to anyone around me at all. I really didn't know where to fit in. And I think a part of me was maybe too scared to try. Whereas now I'm definitely more comfortable within myself to do those things and to try and explore. And I think as we get older, it's the perfect time, like your 20s, your 30s, like every second of all of that, we should be trying to discover more of ourselves. But I definitely relate to not knowing where I fit in, and then just, I guess, trying to go my own way and make myself safe and comfortable in the ways that I knew how, which I think then again made other people uncomfortable, because I was the one sitting by myself at lunch, like every day in the room, in like the home group room, and all the friends that I used to be friends with would all sit like a table away from me all together, like 10, 12 girls. And I was just over here sitting by myself on my computer, watching YouTube, eating my food, just being like, fuck this. I didn't want to go and sit and talk about fake IDs and alcohol and like all of that. I just didn't like, it was so boring to me. And I was so over it. I was sick of, I just knew that there was more. Like I just always knew that there was more. And I think that's what is so hard for people growing up and in high school and stuff, is because when you know that there's more and you want to go deeper, there's not really many spaces to do that at all. So you end up either shutting it down and telling yourself to shut up and swallow it and keeping it within, or you rebel in different ways and try and find other means for more. And for me, I was always just rebelling in some way. Thankfully, didn't go down too much of a dark path, but I think like for me, a big part of my work now is really that fuck all the molds, fuck all the niches. I really like to I don't know, I feel like I've coined the term multifaceted, but that is just a word that I've used for a lot of my work, because I know that every human being is multifaceted, yet when you walk out the door and go into the matrix, it doesn't make sense to people. It really, really doesn't make sense to people. Like I can look a certain way, and people will take me as one thing. Like if I don't know, I've had comments on my tattoos online, like you look really masculine, it makes you look more masculine, or like your hair's done a certain way, your hair's a certain color, or you wear a certain lipstick, or you're not wearing makeup, or, we're always going to have these weird judgments and labels placed on us to make us, again, one thing. But the more that we express different facets of ourselves and stand in them proudly, again, you're going to hold that mirror up for everyone in your life. And I'm not just a divine feminine. I'm not just a creative. I'm not just a woman. I'm not just a muse. I'm not just a writer. I'm not just someone's like lover or partner. I'm not just someone's like daughter. I'm sexual, and I'm fluid, and I'm a lover, and I'm emotional, and I'm really strong, and like you can be all of the things, and no one's stopping you anymore, but people will judge you, and you just can't let people's judgments stop you, because you need to take the control and the power of your own life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. No one's stopping you. They're still gonna judge. Do it fucking anyways.
Yeah, always.
Amazing. I love that, and I resonate so much with that. I would love to talk to you a little bit about pleasure, because I know one of your creative expressions is through pleasure. And the theme of the podcast is pleasurable success. So I would love to know, one, like how tapping into more of your pleasure and your turn on has changed your life. And then I'm going to ask you the same question I ask all my podcast guests, and then we'll close it up.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think the same as any woman who taps into their pleasure, it's just like a life-changing thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, sexual energy is the most powerful energy on the entire planet. And we see that in mass media in a negative way. We see how powerful it is to manipulate people with sexual energy. We see how easy it is to dangle something in front of people's eyes and get them to be hypnotized almost. And I think reclaiming that energy for yourself and using it in a positive way and channeling it back into yourself is the most powerful reclamation of all, really, for everyone, no matter your gender, your sex, whatever, you claim yourself to be. I have, again, felt very like sexually liberated most of my life. For, again, I'm not sure why, because sex wasn't a common topic in the household. Like, we didn't talk about it. I was called a slut in high school because I had boobs and I had a boyfriend, and that was really all that. And shock horror. Again, like, that's crazy that women and young girls are labeled and called certain things just because of something on their physical appearance. Like, it's really insane. And again, we can internalize that and grow up to think poorly of ourselves or think badly of ourselves. But I think I just took it and ran with it and continued to not give a shit what anyone said. I really enjoyed sex, and like, I always have. It's a huge part of my life. I love it more than anything. And I think the reason I love it is because, like I said, I'm a really, really deep person. So sex, I think, is the deepest thing on the planet that we can have, and it's with another human being. It's connection, and you become one in that moment. And that is what we're all fighting for at the end of the day. We all are fighting some means in our life to have this like enlightened state, or this like nothingness, or this wholeness. Like, our masculine wants nothing, and then our feminine wants everything. And then when you go into deep sex and love and pleasure, you meet all of those edges at one time, and they just collapse. Like, everything collapses. So sex for me has been a big muse and inspiration, and that's where I kind of started my writing from. Like, I was just so sexually turned on in my life, not even like having that much sex at that point where I started writing, but I was just using that inspiration and creativity to start my writing. And it just continued from there. And I began to learn more about the power of sexual energy. And still to this day, I'm still cultivating more and more. And it's something that I will continue to teach moving forward, and help people cultivate themselves through embodiment work, because the more sexual energy you have moving through your body, the more you can create for your life. That's just a fact. Like, the more that we stretch and edge our nervous system to feel sexual pleasure, then the more powerful we feel, the bigger we feel, the more space that we continue to take up. That's why I think sex is just so powerful. Sex positive spaces are so powerful, because sexual energy is the strongest, most fusing, like crazy chaotic energy on the planet. So when we hold that and infuse that into ourselves and let it awaken every one of ourselves and just be in that pleasure, again, like I was saying before, you can then take that and run with that in other areas of your life. If you let that sink in then and there, maybe that's why I feel great to take up this space and I have so much energy and creativity, is because I've had like a lot of good sex in my life. I've had really, really great sexual experiences that have energized me. And then, coming into the space where I'm doing different types of pleasure practices, which, like I said, change a woman's life. When I first started using a crystal wand, like, changed my life. When I first started really moving sexual energy through my body up and down and out, and changed my life. So the more that we tap into our pleasure as human beings, the more we can really create for our life, because the energy is so big and so potent and indescribable what you can then do with that. It's creative energy. It all comes from the same, sacral lowest chakras. And when you learn how to move that through your body, you can then channel that into purposeful creation in your life, in your relationships, in your business, in every area of life. So pleasure, focusing on pleasure in some way will change your life. And I don't want to convince people to just become like hedonistic and just chasing pleasure every single moment. We have to understand that there is a balance. There is a balance in all areas of life. I use it as, I kind of have this weird like diagram that I use in my head that I explain this with, but like we have these two orbs of energy in life, and that is the polarity of life. There is this scale that life has where it's like there is feminine at one end, there is masculine at the other. That feminine end has, maybe our dark, and it has our demons, it has our shadows, it has our pain, it has our emotions. And then the other end is the light and the power that we can exude. And, you can use these, you can interchange all of these terms in any way because polarity exists everywhere. But being in one area does not take away from the other. So if we're going to be in pleasure, we really can't be there all the time because the scale exists everywhere we go. The orbs always exist. And I think if we're always just chasing pleasure, we miss out on so much of the teaching of life and who we are. So I wanted to add that in there just to remind people, we have all of it. And if you're not feeling super pleasured and ecstatic and alive in your life, it's okay. You will find that and feel that at some given time, but the dark is equally as powerful and potent and a teaching that we all need to know. So yeah.
I love that you spoke to that, and I have so many things that I could go off of, but I'll try to condense it. But yeah, like I know first and foremost that like when I went through massive fucking heartbreak, I never wanted to experience that type of pain again. But because I numbed myself from pain, I also numbed myself from pleasure. Mm-hmm. And when I cracked myself open back, like when I stayed open to pain, that's when I also got to experience more pleasure. Like if you give yourself space to feel it all, that means you can feel it all. And all of those emotions and sensations are just as sacred as each other. Mm-hmm. And I was totally giggling when you said that, you have that like depth to you and you're not here for surface level conversations. And when you were like, I'm not interested in talking to friends about fake IDs and alcohol, in my head, I was like, I know, right? I was interested in like sex. Like I wanted that. Like that's,
yeah.
I always had that inside of me too. So I was totally giggling. So I was like, yeah, we wanted to have like conversations of sex.
Yes, I love talking about sex with everyone all the time because it's just the best thing in the world. I want to talk about art and poetry and creation and the things that like turn us on deeply or the things that break our hearts. So you bring that point up, it's so true because I'm the same. My last two breakups were when I knew the purpose and potency of polarity. Anything before that, I had no idea about any of this work. But with the last two breakups in my life, I felt that I went fully into my heartbreak and I was there with it and I was there with the pain, but I was also experiencing the most pleasure of my entire life in my own body. Wow. And I think that's the beauty of the feminine because she can feel all of the things at one given time. She is not this like one thing. She's very, very fluid and interchanging every single moment as the seconds go by. So when we're feeling the heartbreak and the despair and the grief, there is a moment where we can almost feel it so much that we transcend it altogether, but we're also integrating and grounding it at the same time. It doesn't quite make sense, but the feminine being does that. And I think a woman's body does that as well, just with our womb and with our heart space as well. And even I was getting another tattoo literally like 2 days ago, and it was one of the easiest tattoos I've ever sat for. And it, like, obviously tattoos aren't comfortable, but I was there and I was pleasured by the pain. And I just started thinking, I'm like, I'm either really fucked up, or I know now that our pain and pleasure receptors in our brain are so close together, so close together. And I think that's part of it, you know, because at the end of the day, we are biological human beings. We're not just spirit. So I think there is some part of us that is twisted in that way. And there is some part of how we've been conditioned to, and all the nerve endings and our nervous system continues to participate in negative things in our life, or drama, things like that do make us feel angry or in pain or frustrated, because that's just who we are as human beings. Like, the whole world is captivated by, like, you know, the Johnny Depp case, like, even though there is so much trauma involved in that, and you can watch that and get secondhand trauma. And I've been through a relationship very, very similar. So I know that is such a collective thing, that we all feel so much pain and pleasure, and we're just like moving between those worlds at every given time. And it's like, at the end of the day, you know, there's this power, and I'm sure that you teach this as well, of like, let's create our reality and choose which side we want to be on more often than not. I'm someone who spent most of my life in the shadows and the darkness and in trauma, and I guess maybe that is why I know myself really, really well. That's why I always say to people, don't run from that. Don't hide yourself from the darkness, because it will gift you so much about you. But I'm at this point in my life where I'm really now like, hang on, like, let me go all the other way. Like, I want to feel all the pleasure. I want to be in all the sun. I want to dance around and laugh and have a great time as well. I fucking deserve that. So yeah, it's just funny how it kind of just goes in and out. We can experience all the things at all given times. You know, it's a crazy life. Life is fucking crazy.
It's wild. It's so wild. And I just like, yes, 100% yes. Like, I've been going through the biggest like death and rebirth of my life, but it's all happening at once. It's not like I'm going through the death and then I go through the rebirth. It's like, it's all happening at once. And it can feel chaotic, but it also feels peaceful, and it can feel frustrating, but it also feels sexy. Like, it's wild, but like exactly what you were speaking to. And I will also say too, that I think it's so powerful that you are now like, I want to experience all the pleasure. But I think that, like, in my opinion, one of the reasons why you probably are able to experience that much pleasure is because you've felt that much pain, like the equivalent of the pain. And I think that's very poetic, right? Like, oh, if I'm capable of feeling this much pain, I'm also capable of feeling the same amount of pleasure. And that's exciting as fuck.
Yeah, I think it's just the polarity of life, really. Like, there is polarity in every single thing that we look at. You know, you can't have shadow without light, and you can't have light without shadow. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think it's just something that we can break down for so long. Like, it's such a complex thought process. But yeah, I think so many people have been going through deeper awakenings through their darkness the last couple of years. I mean, the pandemic did that to everyone without them saying yes to it or not. We kind of were forced upon it. was forced upon us, sorry. But yeah, I just think everyone in my life I know has been going through a huge like initiation process into more of their truer self, because it's what this new paradigm and what society really needs from us right now, because society is just collapsing and dying. So we need people who are integrated enough and can hold both. Like I wouldn't be able to do deep work in the world or lead people through deep work or have deep art if I hadn't been through the depths, you know.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be able to hold space for people that are now just going through it, or now just learning that part of their life, if I hadn't been through it yet. So there's always there's a gift in all of it, even if at the time you're like, what the fuck does all of this mean? Which I can relate to. All of last year was a dark night of the soul for me, literally the whole year. And 2020 was a brilliant year for me. I was in my light. I was in my pleasure. I was pushing the boundaries of light and pleasure. And then all of last year, it was the complete fucking opposite. And the start of this year, same thing. I was just in the depth of shit. Like I said this on a podcast I just did with Flynn Skidmore, which is on my podcast. But like, I just could not get out of it. I wanted to quit everything. And I never thought I would be there again. Like, it's insane, because it's like we learn so much about ourselves and we feel so much pleasure, and we're like, oh my God, I'm never going back. Like, this is incredible. This is amazing. I love my life. Everything's ecstatic. I can manifest whatever I want. And oh my God. And it's like, that's not going to last forever, babe.
Yeah.
None of it, nothing lasts forever. Like, life is feminine, and feminine is chaos. And chaos is ever changing, and ever changing is different all the time. You know, it's this constant flowing and changing. So if we feel the depth of pleasure, like be in that then and enjoy it and learn from it. And even when you're in the depth of the darkness and the shit, learn from that too, and just love it. Just try your best to be in it and love it and take the lessons, because that's all we can do.
Yum, yum, yum. All right. I have my final question, which is, how can the person listening to this make their success a more pleasure-filled experience?
I would just say, do whatever the fuck you want and do all of it. Just do all the little things that you feel called to do, because once you start to create something, if you create or bring anything into existence, if you do one thing, it sets the tone and it sets the energy and it creates a momentum. And when you create a momentum of creation, that is creative energy, and creative energy is sexual energy, and sexual energy is the most powerful energy on the planet. So as soon as you get started on something, it will slowly form into your life. It will just take you to places you never thought that you could go, and you will have ideas drop through that you never thought could drop through. So just follow the little, intuitive hits of pleasure, because then you can really create whatever you want from your life.
I love that. Do whatever the fuck you want and keep following your pleasure. So good.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So you are quite the entrepreneur. So you have a whole bunch of amazing offers and exciting things going on. So why don't you tell our audience, my audience, I don't know, that was awkward. Like,
tell everyone, tell the world,
tell the world about what you are offering.
Well, I have a lot of things going on. I've got a lot of evergreen courses available to people at all times, from social media marketing, soul-led business, masterminds and things like that, to pleasure courses, to like some freebies. And then I'm also doing my first in-person retreat next month. So I'm really excited about that. I'm planning to literally take that all over the world, because my followers are all over the world and they're calling me to all different places. So there's that.
One more request is Colorado.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely on the list, because I feel like there's so many people from there.
Yeah, we're so many like spiritual entrepreneurs are up here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. I don't really use TikTok anymore, but I used to be on that a lot. I'm on all the places on the internet, just sharing my magic because I love this shit and I love being in my vibe and I love creating. And I've got another brand and company coming as well, which is going to be really yummy. And I'm on Patreon. That's where all my writing is at. So you can come and follow my writing there and join the community there as well. And I'm sure there's like 10 different projects that I'm missing, but those are the ones that come to mind.
Incredible. I love it. And all of the links will be in the show notes. So you guys make sure you check out Aleesha. And if you enjoy this conversation, share it with someone you love because this was absolute medicine. So thank you for being here in this delicious conversation. It was such an honor. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.